Hello, folks. Okay, odd guitar of the week. I got a new guitar, well, new to me anyway. It's not a new guitar, it's 20 some odd years old, but it's a weird one. What is shaped roughly like a Les Paul is a Gibson guitar, but has a Fender scale on it, 25.5-inch scale. Well, there aren't very many Gibsons with 25.5-inch scale. There's probably a couple of jazz boxes that do have that scale length, and of course the RD series of guitars had the longer scale. But there was a series called the Hawk guitars. There was a Blues Hawk, there was a Night Hawk, and then there was the Hawk, which is the cheapest one, of course, being that the other ones had 3 pickups or just fancier finishes, fancier appointments and stuff, maybe binding on the neck. Definitely more going on than this. This is very much like a Les Paul Special, except kind of weird, warped, ugly body with a sharp cutaway, pointier than a Les Paul, or a Les Paul Jr. or a Les Paul Special. It's kind of a law unto itself. But what's cool about it is it's got a Fender scale length. If you're accustomed to playing Fenders, well, here you go. String space, or not string spacing, but the fret spacing is about the same. The other thing that's cool that makes it kind of Telecaster-like is it's just got a stop tailpiece. This one, I was told it was pretty stock when I got it, but then I came to find out that this bridge is not stock. It's some sort of, I believe they called these things badass bridges when they came out. This might not be an actual badass bridge, but it's got adjustable saddles, kind of like a Tune-o-matic, which is good. Better than standard stop tailpiece, which has no intonation possibilities other than a couple of set screws. So you can tilt the whole thing, but you can't adjust individual string intonation, which is, not a great thing on an electric guitar, especially when you play loud, because if it's loud and the intonation's off, it's a lot of wrong. The other thing that looks like it was replaced were these knobs are definitely not stock Gibson. Most Gibson knobs are plastic. These are metal. They look like black versions of Telecaster knobs. And these pickups, I'm suspicious about these. I took one out and looked at it, and it didn't say Gibson on it anywhere. Now, granted, a lot of Gibson pickups don't say Gibson, but it didn't look very Gibson to me. It looks kind of more DiMarzio, Duncan, but it doesn't say Duncan and it doesn't say DiMarzio, so who knows. Some of the guitars from this era, this guitar was made in 1996. Some of these have desirable pickups that people will sell on eBay for, a couple $100 each, which might have happened to this guitar. What's funny though is that it's in good shape. It really wasn't beat up too bad, considering how old it is. It doesn't have the typical Gibson broken headstock, and it has the original tuners. They have not been messed with. So the neck is fairly wide feeling, but not real deep. So why get one of these? I don't really have a rational reason. Why did I buy it? Same reason why you buy your guitars. No reason. You just want it and you get it. So, and then if it doesn't work out, you get rid of it. But I think this one's a keeper for a while just because I like the way it plays. And these are light. It's under 8 pounds. It's like 7 pounds, 10 ounces. I mean, that's a very, very comfortable weight. Another thing that's comfortable about it is it's got the comfort carve like a Stratocaster. And so it makes it Fender-like in that respect too. So, well, give a listen, even though pickups have been changed. But the pickup said 7.8 thousand ohm reading, so it's very much like your stock Gibson, whatever, T-top, your average Gibson humbucking pickup, not a hot pickup. More like your, Burstbucker one, say, kind of vintage style. But Who knows what the hell these things are? I mean, they sound good, whatever they are. The bridge pickup seems to be a bit overwound. This thing is probably a lot hotter. Kind of growls, kind of snarls, kind of distorts, kind of. Okay, neck pickup. I like the neck pickup. Excuse the playing. I have been working with metal all day, so my hands are shredded. But okay, the other thing that's kind of cool about Gibsons from the 90s is that you get things like this body on this guitar is one piece of mahogany. It's not one or two or three pieces glued together. So that feels more Gibson-y, you know, like value, like upper end, you know, crafted. Looking at the neck joint and just the way the wood was shaped and this finish, it's not like the modern finishes where they didn't bother sealing the wood at all and it's all like satiny and sunk into the wood, and I don't know. Those modern finishes kind of turn me off. I know a lot of people like the satin finish on the neck. It feels better when you're playing it to some people. Me, no. I go for the gloss. I like this. This is nice varnish. It's on there. It's maybe a little thicker than it needs to be, but it has a look of quality and it has a feel of quality. And this guitar was cheap. These things, nobody wants them, really. You see them for sale and they sit. Because they're an odd duck. They're just not something that ever caught on, even though it's kind of a cool guitar and it's something different that Gibson offered back then. And I think they reissued it too with an equal lack of success. So if you're looking for something that's kind of like a Les Paul Special or Les Paul Junior, but those are out of your price range, especially Juniors. Juniors are like seriously inflated now. It's like Juniors and Explorers. Like everybody has to have a Junior. Everybody has to have an Explorer. And so the price went during, you know, the pandemic. It was shocking how high the prices got for those guitars that you used to be able to get for under $1,000 any day of the week. Not anymore. Whereas these things, yes, well, people will be asking more than $1,000, but they will not be getting more than $1,000. I can tell you, I paid $500 for this with a very nice case, and it's in good shape. And I didn't do a fret mill to it. The only setup I did was I oiled the fingerboard and I lowered the bridge. That is it, because it's a Gibson, and most Gibsons, especially ones from maybe this era, they were pretty solid. They really seemed to care about what they were doing. Maybe a little bit more consistently than they did 5 years ago. But that said, okay, here's your odd duck Gibson, the Hawk, the guitar of the week. And I didn't think I was going to buy another guitar, but I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm 100% sold on this as being a great guitar, but it's a good guitar for a good price. And they are out there. I don't think they made very many of them, but the fact that nobody wants them means you can pick them up. Probably pick up a Blues Hawk or a Nighthawk easier. There seems to be more of those around. This one, I didn't even know what it was when I saw it in the ad. I went, what is that thing? And I looked, I went, it looks like a Blues Hawk, but it's not. And then it turned out the person selling it was somebody I knew, somebody who used to have a music store in Santa Cruz for a good number of years. A guy named Steve had a place called the Musicians Trading Post. If you lived in the Monterey Bay and you were looking for a used guitar, a cool used guitar, you went to see Steve, or you went over the hill to Musicians Trading Post, or you saw a Fat Dog, you know, in Berkeley as Subway guitars. And those were like the big three. I mean, there were some other places, but Steve in Santa Cruz, I can't tell you all the really cool guitars I got from him, but he's been shut down for a number of years, but he still has a house full of gear, and every once in a while he advertises something, and so I paid a call and I bought this. So go ahead and look for the Hawk. I don't think you're going to pay more than you want to.